Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining the Startup Societies Foundation podcast. Today, we are joined by Juan Torrents. He is the president of FEMOZA, a world free and special economic zone federation based out of Switzerland. Juan, how are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you, especially since you have an upcoming conference. You have a very widespread international organization, one of the quintessential organizations for the zone industry worldwide. So I guess the first question that makes sense is, for listeners who are not aware, what is FEMOZA and what are its goals?
Well, FEMOZA is a non-governmental organization working on a non-profit basis. It was constituted in Geneva in 1999 under the law of the Canton de Geneva and under the Article 60 and the followers from the Civil Code, the Swiss Civil Code. So our objective is to support free zones around the world, help them to set up, develop, and grow. Free zones, accordingly, there are different areas and their dominations, such as export processing zones, and industrial free zones, trade free zones, services, tourism, logistics, free ports, bonded warehouse, etc. But this is only a semantic problem, because for our idea, the definition of a free zone is a physical place where you got incentives, tax incentives, but you got also other incentives that are not economic, as the economy of scale that they produce, and the income that you have because you transfer technology to the countries. So every time that a foreign company is implemented inside a free zone, they provide and they have an important transfer of technology to the local industry. Then they increase the labor force, the capacity of the labor force, and these are in fact not economic benefits, but they are really very important. So the most important goal of FEMOZA is to bridge the gap of for most of the countries, or all the countries, the most important problem is to create jobs. And the free zones or special economic zones or export processing zones, they are the facilitator to create jobs. To create jobs, you need investments, but the investors need infrastructures, and infrastructures is what the free zones offer under a national law. So for that reason, we created in 1999 FEMOZA.
What are the types of initiatives that you've been doing over the years that help the goals that you're trying to achieve?
So we achieved the goals. Well, at the very beginning, we connect with international organizations. So, of course, starting with the United Nations, with ANTAC and UNIDO, ANTAC in Geneva, UNIDO in Vienna, and because they need from the very beginning the support of FEMOZA as well. It looks funny, but so the United Nations sometimes don't have a protocol and a bureaucracy, but FEMOZA was more free, and we cooperate from the first day with United Nations. So on the other side, the first executive committee was formed by officials of the ANTAC and officials of the UNIDO, and we start working just to inform to the free zones. We talk about 20 years ago, so the free zones start in a boom, this boom that they have now, but and we offer them to help them in a technical, offering in a technical experience that we had. In fact, I was been working for 10 years as a manager director of Barcelona Free Zone, and the first zone that I discovered, it was in the 60s, late 60s. It was the channel in Panama Channel. So I had a long experience on free zone as well, and we start helping them, offering seminars, offering technical issues, offering training programs, and organizing meetings to meet each other and to facilitate memorandum of understanding. We create regional clusters of free zones. We connect the free zones with investors, and this was the starting. So and now, of course, now is most of the things are online. But at that time, I take flights every 3 times every week. So going from Geneva to Argentina, or from Geneva to China, and then to India, and then back to Turkey, and then go to Chile. So we were very active and very busy, and we still are busy and active.
Now that you have all of this foundational work, what are your goals for the next year, 10 years, or 30 years?
For the 2020, we will create a special professional arm for FEMOZA. So FEMOZA is a non-for-profit organization, but we have the same status in Geneva as the Red Cross, of course. And we receive a lot of demands of support, and sometimes because we don't have the technical equipment to give support to the zones, we could not help them. So now for 2020, we are going to start a professional arm to attend all the demands from the market, and will be another organization, not under the non-for-profit organization, but with this we will support the demands of the market. This new organization is formed by a consultative board that we are creating. So we join experts in different fields. So we have people who can do for the free zones feasibility study or business plan. So, by the way, now in 1 month time, we have 2 workshops in Saudi Arabia to organize a marketing plan and a strategic plan to improve one of the most important complex, the Al Jubail, that is 500 square kilometers. And this is what we are going to do. So this job will be done, will be controlled and managed and monitored by FEMOZA, but we are doing this with consulting companies from England, from Germany, from the Gulf, from the United Arab Emirates, and they can do a good job under the FEMOZA management. So this is for 2020. And of course, we are preparing a celebration of our 20th anniversary. For 2030, we are involved in the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that United Nations is interested to do. And for 2050, so probably you have to ask this to the next president of FEMOZA. But the most important now is to start in 2020 to create the new generation of the special economic zones in order to in 2030 to achieve the part of all the sustainable development goals that are promoted by the United Nations.
Excellent. And so all of this work, all these goals that you're creating, it all depends on creating really effective partnerships in the zone industry and outside it. How do you build effective partnerships in order to grow your organization?
Well, the partnerships in the industrial zone. So we are helping a lot to the free zones, but we are helping also to the industries, to the different industries, to implement their new projects in the free zone. So because I had experience in Barcelona, when somebody arrived to see if they could invest in Barcelona, Spain, or we met people who was looking to invest in Arab countries or in China or in Central Asia. So the people who arrived people arrive to a foreign country. So a foreign country interested, but with a goal to invest 50, 100, or $1 billion. So they arrive to a foreign country, different language, different culture, different laws. So you have to help them. And what we done, and I learned this in Barcelona, we took them and we helped them for 2 or 3 days. We host them in Barcelona and we show everything. And we give to the people to feel comfort with us and to get confidence with us. So in this regard, so we decided, and when we analyze and we research which are the different sectors, industrial sectors. So we help them to creating clusters, and to create clusters to that when people from different countries invest in one country, so we join them and they works together. Just an example, the Tangier Free Zone created early in the 2000s. So now is the most important free zone in North Africa because the strategic location. They have working 60,000 people in the zone, including the factory Renault. So we help them to create the investors association. So this investors association get an important economy of scale, but the most important is that they assume that they help each other. They are not competitors; they are colleagues, and to create a cluster in the different sectors is very important because you facilitate the implementation, and the people can do the activities in a better atmosphere. So now Slovakia, after they separate from the all Czechoslovakia, so they create a cluster for the automobile industry. So if the people wants to go to Europe and wants to invest in Europe in the automobile, so going to Slovakia, they join other colleagues. So they are not competitors. They join with the rest of the automobile industries in Slovakia, and they can provide better services. They can research together. So with an important economy of scale, and because they became strong in Slovakia, from Slovakia they can export to other countries. So this is the association and the partnership is a key point. Is a key point for the investors, but also a key point for a successful free zone. And this is what the free zone authorities have to offer to the investors. So facilities to join, the facilities to facilitate the services, to improve the services, to add more activities and more sectors.
Yes, investment, that's such a crucial part. Is there any other advice you could give to people that are listening to the show that are in the zone industry to find and source investors interested in zones?
Yeah, well, this is a very important question. So how people can finance. So there is a lot of money in the market. So there is a lot of money. Probably money enough to support and to finance all the projects. The problem sometimes is that the people doesn't know how to apply for this, and this is something that we are doing as well. So we are in touch with development banks, with European Investment Bank, with African Development Bank, with BID, in Latin America, and even with the World Bank. So we support the zones to apply it. So we start this with a very curious project that we call the Project Factory. The Project Factory was that when we receive an requirement for a free zone that they need support to most of the time to invest, to apply for an investing program. So we help them because many times they don't know nothing about how to prepare a feasibility study, and we do this for them. Sometimes we done this at the very beginning through the students of the Geneva University. So the students from the Geneva University start with the companies, helping them to develop a business plan or a feasibility study. With this pre-feasibility study, we go to a bank and we take them to the different programs. There is a lot of programs, financial programs, and there is a lot of even the European Union, the European Commission, has a lot of money that they give as a social aid to develop different sectors of the industry. So we give this support as well, helping them and offering them the experiences how to prepare a feasibility study or a business plan step by step.
Excellent. I'm glad you're providing these services, these consultancy services, because as you said, there's a real gap in the industry, and people need to hold hands, unfortunately, in order to get them from point A to point B. But sometimes there aren't the best service providers in the world in this industry. For our listeners, how do you vet zone service providers to ensure that they are competent enough to get the job done?
So, well, the service providers to the zone, we have a list of service providers in different sectors. So, if we receive a pre-project for a free zone, so a free zone project is a long-term project. So sometimes the free zone is a public project that the government or most of the times is the government is offering free land. So if they offer free land, means that you are not going to invest in the land because it belongs to the government, and they give you a concession for 50 years or for 99 years. So in this case, we have contacts with different construction companies, even infrastructure companies, and we prepare for the project, for the authority, public tender. So we prepare a public tender, and we recommend, that depends the zone where they are. We recommend minimum 3, 4, or 5 important construction companies that they have experience in the area. So we recommend them. They introduce their options to be part of the tender, and after this we support them, and we help and we follow up the construction for the 2, 3. Sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 years to do the infrastructure, and after this there is other suppliers as security. Security is very important in a free zone. So even training. So when we help a zone, we ask them which are the universities that they have in the country in order to reach agreement with the universities, and at the end is a one-stop shop for each project. So companies who offer modulated constructions, or people who is offering just engineering and maintenance, and even management models. So people who offer to operate the zone. When Volkswagen in the 93, they decided to create a suppliers park nearby the factory, and they decided to do that applying for the just-in-time program. So in Barcelona Free Zone, we offer them 50 hectares of land where the 750 different suppliers implement. Some of them implement the factories there, but others just implement a hub to supply the raw material or to supply the accessories. So these services were outsourced by Volkswagen with a company, and they hired 132 persons to move the systems and to move and they create the software, and it was people who was hired outside the Volkswagen employees. So it's very important. It's much important for the company to operate a free zone than to create and start. So to keep the zone in a perfect management model, and update the management model according to the market demands. And today that we are, so now we have a project now called Digital Silk Road Parks and Zones. So Digital Silk Road Parks and Zone is a project that is organized by FEMOZA, that we have a list of the all parks from Rotterdam and Antwerp, or Rotterdam in Holland and Antwerp in Belgium, to Shanghai in China, Fuzhou in China, and all these parks, we are going to offer them to be under the digitalization structure. So this part of the Belt and Road initiative. But we are having a lot of demands of companies that they want to be accept the services, and we do this through companies that they are experts in blockchains, they are expert in digitalization, or they are expert in logistics. So one of our partners, Cinex from Antwerp, is still in a period of so the port of Antwerp, so part of the port is moving by blockchain technology, and they improve better the systems. They the timing is shorter. The cost for the people there is much less, and little by little they are improving the new technology, and everybody is accepting it.
Excellent. There seems to be so many different stakeholders and partners and international players involved, because there's such big coordination issues with projects like this. What is the role of international institutions in SEZ development?
Well, international institutions sometimes they are public, and we have to first of all to fight with them to accept to the role of to be the link with between the government and the private sector. But thanks to other institutions that move independent institutions, and they are free, and they are not subject to the bureaucracy or to some countries, because unfortunately there is a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of corruption, and we try to avoid this, and we try to avoid this using institutions and organizations that they are clean and transparent. So they help us a lot. So there is a lot of national private companies and institutions who link the private investments with the government, or they create cross-border agreements, and they create cross-border zones, and they have the advantage that they for instance, examples in Dominican Republic, they have a law that is very wide, and you can become free zone even for one factory. So each factory in the country can apply for the free zone. So they create some zones nearby the border with Haiti, and in both sides of the border. So the investors are from Dominican Republic or from US, but they create the synergy, and is the way that everybody can create jobs in their country. You have an example in Mexico, the maquila. So my friend that passed away just 1 year ago at 86, Jaime Bermúdez. Jaime Bermúdez created the maquila in Ciudad Juárez in the 60s. So why they create the maquila in Ciudad Juárez? Because a lot of American investors were interested to go and to produce in a better conditions, and Mr. Bermúdez offered them infrastructure. In Ciudad Juárez, Mr. Bermúdez created 15 industrial parks. So in Ciudad Juárez, that is just a few miles from El Paso, or less than a few miles, you can go walking, and they could attract a lot of US investors. So the American investors at that time chose Mexico instead to go to Bangladesh or to Sri Lanka, where the cost per hour was 40 cents. They chose Mexico, where the cost was higher, but they could take the breakfast at home somewhere in the States, take a plane, go to El Paso, from El Paso go to Ciudad Juárez, and back home for dinner. So, and they control their investment. The most of the project of the products produced in Ciudad Juárez were for the American market. So they could control the quality, they could control the cost, and they start as a maquila because in Mexico they don't have a capacity to produce the products, but they assemble the products. But little by little, they create new labor force, and today some people go there with a new product and said, this is the format of the product. In 7 weeks time, I need 50,000 per day or 50,000 per week. So this is the cross border. It's very important. In the north of Russia, near Finland, there is a small city called Bivor. So Bivor is in the Russian Federation area, but they receive a lot of investments from Finland, and so is another way to cooperate. But this sometimes is important gap of the people don't know about these possibilities, And this is what we do. We explain them. We explain them how people do this or that in this region, and they applied it. So one of the most important investments in Brazil 3 years ago was in the is an iron factory in Sepem, in the north of Brazil, where they invest $8 billion. They have, I think, about they create 8 or 9,000 jobs. They are going to produce in 2 years more 18 million tons per year, and 100% of these 18 million tons are for export. This is what we form, and all this is things that a lot of institutions are helping the trade and the industry. So the trade now is the upcoming activity in the free zones.
Great example of comparative advantage, trade among multiple different zones, multiple different countries. Yet it's very strange. Many in the zone industry, there's a lot of regional hubs. There's the African zone industry, there's the Chinese zone industry, there's the Americas zone industry. Why is it so important to not just have international yet regional trade, but also to go beyond that and have truly global trade for special economic zones?
So, well, you mentioned Africa. So Africa is still the continent more poor in free zones. I'm sorry, but one of the problems are the corruption. So there are free zones that are working very good and very hard, and as I mentioned, the Tangier free zone in Morocco. But there are other zones that they start, but they never open the zone. So, well, I am not going to give you names, but I know zones that they were announced 20 years ago, and they are still with nothing. They just have only the project, and the president of the country announced it 20 years ago, and they never start. So now Ethiopia is implementing the special economic zones, and they work hard, and they think that so Ethiopia will be the link of the Belt and Road from Africa to Asia and to Europe. So if the people don't do a professional and work hard for each project and defend each project, so Africa, well, Africa been in the bottom of the free zones development. Now, so China is investing a lot in Africa, but the trade is very important, because the trade allows to the zones and to the countries to export not exporting mineral, but exporting mineral with a value add. And if you export mineral in a value add, you can create a lot of jobs. If your natural products are wood or are fruits or vegetables, so you can do and improve the export with so adding something to your national product. And this is the way. Unfortunately, in Africa, they have to increment the activities and increment but what they need is a professional model of management model. So in this sense, now we are introducing to the audience in the Monaco summit to create import and export hubs in the free zone, only for trade. To reach the Chinese market for a small or medium company is almost impossible, because they don't have capacity, they don't have economical capacity, but sometimes they have a good product. But because they don't have capacity, the product never will be in the Chinese market. The import and export hubs are the centers when the traders can deposit the product, and from there they can sell to other countries, regional or third countries. So, and in this time, the exporter knows every minute where its product is and what happens with its product, and then they know who is the last consumer of the product. So people who export to a distributor, they never know who is the last consumer. So they export a lot, but they never get the market, because if the distributor finds some product 5 cents cheaper, they move and nobody knows where the products were. So this is the way that we are creating a network of free zones, import-export hubs. We are in touch with 2 free zones in China, and we have so several countries of Africa are interested to do that. So this is one of the projects that FEMOZA will manage and will monitor, because at least in the startup, then everybody is free to do what they do. But it's very important. It's a very important project, and just the free zone, Shanghai free zone, only in Shanghai they open 22 supermarkets where in Shanghai you can buy apples from Australia, or kiwis from New Zealand, or mineral water for France, or olive oil from Italy or from Spain. And because they do this way, and you can find I was surprised at visiting several of these to find products that they are produced nearby home for a very, very small company, and a very, very small company has products in the supermarkets of Shanghai Free Zone in Shanghai. So this is what the importance of the trade. Every day is increasing, and every day more people is in the economy in the economy.
That's fantastic. And like you said, it's growing every single day, global trade in general, but also specifically special zones. But because of there is so much impact from the zone industry, they employ so many people and contribute so much to GDP, why is there so little information about special zones in the world?
FEMOZA, we are explaining this. And by the way, now we are preparing the book we call the Free Zones of the World, and the Free Zones of the World would be launched in Monaco next month, and giving experiences, practical experiences of what happens in free zone, how you have to decide it if you lease or sell land, how you have to decide which is your pricing policy, how you are deciding which industrial sectors you are going to implement in your zone. But you're right, there is no many information, and most of this information sometimes is not practical, it's academic. So it's written by very good technical people, but with no the practical way to move a free zone.
Because there's so little information about special economic zones, for outsiders, it's kind of difficult to explain why special economic zones are so important. If you were, in simple terms, to explain why special economic zones are important, how would you do it?
So the special economic zones are important because they create jobs. Today is still a privilege for a city to have a free zone of special economic zones. Free zones of special, as I said, is a semantic problem. So free zones, when the first free zone started 2,000 years ago in the city of Tyre in Lebanon. But today, the special economic zones, they put a special economic zone because it's more wide area. So free zone was a fenced area with one door, with somebody taking care of that. Nobody goes in or out. But now the special economic zones becomes a wider area. So could be one city, full city, one region, and they create jobs, and to create jobs, and they create consolidated jobs. Poland. So Poland today is the most important country in Europe attracting investments. So the Katowice special economic zones has more than 70,000 jobs, but they create these jobs in different areas nearby the base. So they create the first step of the special economic zones. It was in the city of Katowice. Today they have subzones in different small villages around. So and they create activity. These examples and I have experience on this when I was in Barcelona. Barcelona, the free zone of Barcelona has 600 hectares, but in the 80s was fully booked, and we could not expand because we were near the city. And what we done? So we create subzones in the Barcelona belt. So we approach to the municipality authorities of different small village, and said, excuse me, you don't have any industrial land in your city. So most of your people have to take the car or the train or public services to go to Barcelona, to go to other cities for working. So we are going to provide you with industrial land. So this was the way that we could create more than 200,000 jobs in 10 years, and for that reason are important, the free zones. So the free zones are the facilitator to the investors. So if you invest in a private industrial park or in a private development, many times the promoters are private companies, and what they want is to improve a land in a park. They sell the plots, and when the plots are sold, they said, okay, finish, I'm going home, money, and I make. So they speculate with land. The free zone has a law, a national law. The national law is controlled by customs and by the Ministry of Finance. So you are obliged to follow up regulations, national regulation. But on the other side, they offer you comfort and they offer you security. So this is what attracts the people. But people is ready to come to your zone. But sometimes nobody explain to the people interested in investing in one country that they exist, that they have a lot to offer, they have incentives, because there is a lack of management model. So and a lack of sometimes a lack of interest. By our experiences, we sometimes try to contact a zone, and the website is only in the local language. There is an important study used by Celia Ortega from the World Bank that which are the not the worst practice to attract investments. So they said we sent more than 100 emails and we receive answer of 3. We contact people, and we cannot reach nobody because nobody speaks English. So this is the main problem. This is what FEMOZA is trying to do, to support these sons, to convince them, to bring to the meetings and organize not international meetings as in Monaco. We organize meetings in countries. So with the local authorities, with the local free zone, and we said, excuse me, you have to do this. And sometimes people you used to do that, but sometimes people said, well, uh, because of my job is a public job, my free zone is a public zone, and we have five, 6 or 10 investors, and we cover the break even of the budget. Why I have to work more? But this is the everyday project problems, and this is what we try to fill the gap and to bridge the knowledge.
Yeah, and thank you so much for filling the gap. It's really tremendous work. And like you said, you've done a lot of different events about this in order to try to fill the gap. Can you tell us a little bit about past events you've put on?
Well, to bridge the gap is to organize workshops, to organize seminars, to organize meetings, conference, but not only with the zones promoter. There is a different speech for different actors. We have to talk with the governments just to inviting them to open free zones in the most easy way. So one minister of one country from Latin America said me, excuse me, said, Juan, you are promoting that people come here and don't pay taxes. He said, excuse me, the people who is not here don't pay taxes at all. So if they come here, they are not going to pay taxes, but they create jobs. And if you don't accept that the people come to your country because they have the market in you, the consumer market in your country, they go to install the service, the free zones in your neighbors. So you are importing labor force from your neighbors. So it's a pity, but sometimes the authorities think that they don't pay taxes. Okay, they don't pay taxes today, but today they don't create jobs for you. If you invite them to be here and you provide them with world-class in infrastructure and world-class incentives and world-class services, they will create jobs for you, and they will create and they will produce in your country for exports in order to export to other countries.
That's crucially important that people understand that they have these benefits and these policies that are advantageous for buildings, but they also help the surrounding areas. And if other countries are going to adopt them anyways, it's crucial that in order for our country to remain competitive, they adopt them as well. And you're going to be talking about this and a bunch of other topics at your upcoming conference in Monaco. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about the conference?
So the topics that we are going to talk about in Monaco is one of the important topics is PPP, private-public partnership. Public-private partnership is one of the ways that, as you asked me before, to cover the projects and to reach financing programs, because private and public, they have to make commitments and be involved in these commitments. So this is one of the topics. The second topic is digitalization. So that is the other way to the free zones can improve the career. So another topic is to involve the Belt and Road initiative from China. Another topic is supported by UNIDO, is that to talk about the new technologies, to talk about innovation, to talk about the experiences, and to talk about the future projects and future. Well, by the way, as we talked before, the cross border. So the cross border free zones. So cross border free zones give to the countries the options to share the infrastructure. And the last panel would be organized with ANTAC. They want to focus the panel in the how we can reach the new generation of special economic zones. So in the first panel, we are going to talk about the past. And in the last panel, we are going to talk about the future.
Perfect. I think that the conference is going to be amazing. I myself am going to be going. It's going to be at the Monte Carlo. I think we're almost done for time here, but if we're going to have a concluding statement, I think the best way to conclude is, what would you tell our listeners about what value they would get if they attend your summit in Monaco?
Well, if they attend the summit in Monaco, they will receive informative, educational, and networking event. So keynote lectures, B2B and B2G, workshops, and workshops how to design, implement, and operate a successful zone. So this summit will gather for experts from 70 countries and interchange experiences. And the most important is to meet and to see what happens in other regions. I talk with my own experience, so I learn a lot every time I visit a free zone. I am learning something else. So now we don't talk yet, but I want to finish with so the coming activity and the coming sector in the free zone would be the agro industry, and would be the eco agro industry. So this is a very important sector where you can create a lot of jobs, and you can export 100% of the production. In Azerbaijan, I visited last year an important agro-industry plant under the free zone regime. They export 100% to Russia. This is what the people will learn in Monaco. So we are not an event organizer. So we saw a lot of people who organize event, because if you propose to talk about a special economic zone or foreign direct investment, you have a lot of it's a very attractive topics. But sometimes people organize the meetings only for just to make money, and we organize this meeting just to provide technologies, to invite people to meet, to get experience, to get what experiences and interchange experience with other colleagues, and to hear real authorities. So we are not thinking about that, and this is what we need. And part of this meeting is to give answers to the questions that during the World Investment Forum last year in Geneva, people put on the table, but because the short time we could not answer. So we give answers now to the questions, pending for an answer, and to preparing the next meeting in Abu Dhabi next year in October or November, and with the next World Investment Forum that we are working already with ANTAC. We involve UNIDO and we involve ANTAC, and they are very so UNIDO was very interested for this forum to create a special session for Africa, because Africa needs a lot of help and Africa needs a lot of support.
Excellent. So everyone, if you're interested in learning the best practices in the industry, yet learning the most innovative, different trends that are going on in the field, and want to meet the best and brightest in the whole movement, come to Monaco, come to the conference. And Juan, thank you so much for joining us.